Hi everyone, it's the Liverpool Football Show, and this is what it's all about. It's all about Liverpool. It's all about the fans. It's all about the players. It's all about the club. It's all about the owners. If you've got anything to say, we're the likes to tell you. We put your comments up. We answer your comments. Not like other shows where they don't answer you at all. You're just trying to comment, and that's it. You comment, and nothing happens. But this one tells you, we just go through all the comments. You will be mentioned. We will answer your queries. If you've got any queries, that is. I've got a great guest on tonight. He's a Liverpool author, FC author. He's written some fantastic things about Liverpool, and I hope he's got his book ready, to show us his latest one, because it's fantastic. It's fantastic. I'm going to show you my book here, what I've just written. It took me about 3 weeks to write. It's that, and it's that thick. See, I wrote that all about Charles Dickens. It took me about 3 weeks. There's 18,000 pages in it. So, and I'm just wondering, what Jeff Goulden, this man, this fella, this great Liverpool supporter, like us all, we're all great supporters. We have our criticisms, obviously. We have our little moans. We have our, it's just, this is Liverpool. This is Liverpool. And I'm going to bring him straight on because I can see him right there. And this is a great fella. Just get onto this man here. And there he is.
All right, Frank.
All right, Jeff.
Congratulations on the book, by the way. 3 weeks. It ages, didn't it?
Yeah, the way you just start writing things. And
sometimes they write themselves, don't they, mate?
They do indeed. How are you, Jeff, anyway?
I'm great, mate. Thanks very much. How are you? You're looking well.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm getting there. Finally, I had this massive operation 2 years ago exactly, and I'm still. You'd have to recover, don't you? And I didn't realise how much it takes out here, to be honest. But I'm well on the road now. I'm about 85% fully there, But then again, we never get to that 100%. Yeah, well, there you go. Well, listen, Jeff, like tonight, what I'd like to talk. Have you got your book ready there?
Well, to be honest, the latest one is the Stanley Park Story reprint. So I wrote Stanley Park Story a while ago, and it's kind of gone to paperback version now. So it's been updated because this year, as you'll know well, Frank, this year is the 60th anniversary. Actually, last September was the 60th anniversary. So we've passed the 60th anniversary of the return of the Merseyside Derby in 1962. So the Pitch Publishing reprinted Stanley Park Story. And I've got a copy of it here for you to have a look. Updated cover, updated version of the book. And it's kind of it's a novel. It's a book I wrote as a novel as opposed to a historical piece of work. So I'm dead proud of that one.
Do you know what? I just wish you would have mentioned that it was 60 years ago. It's made me feel it's unbelievable. Because I always remember me and my little mates. We were in the second division. We were only kids, and I always remember when we won promotion, and I always remember Shankly. We were all like this, in unison. And Shankly, if you ever see the old film, he was out of sync. You know what I mean? Clapper, but he's there with the players in the old stand there. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. When you said 60 years.
No, I kind of just missed out on the Shankly era, really. Born in 67, so first game at Anfield was 75, so
you just missed out, yeah.
I missed out on it, and it's, you can't say you regret it because your life is your life, but, what I wouldn't give for a time machine to go back and experience the things you experienced. and live in Liverpool in that period, because I think, you know, that's the greatest period for music and football in Liverpool history, I would say. And probably the 80s is, for me, was my era. That's a close second. And obviously the football was boss in the 80s as well. But the 60s are just, you know, you look at the old.
You know what, though? I hardly go on Facebook anymore, you know, and comment, because I'm always getting ribbed, you know, because when I get told I'm a plastic, you know, supporter, or support another one. Little do they realise that I was there in '65 at Wembley when St. John scored the winner, you know, against Leeds for our first FA Cup. And, you know, and we went on from there, you know, and Shanks under Shanks, you know, we won our first European Cup, didn't we? Not the European Cup, but a European thing, the UEFA Cup. And then, as you know, your era there, I was there in Rome, I was there at Wembley again the following year, I was there in Paris, I was there, I was just everywhere, you know. And they're telling me to go and support another club and call me a plastic fan because, you know, I criticise whatever I criticise. And I think that's it's a bit mean to call any supporter. You know, this is me. You know, I love our fan base. I love all our Scousers. I love everything to do with Liverpool, and especially our foreign fan base, Jeff, because they love the club, albeit, you know, some of them have called me a plastic fan. Go support someone else. You can't say anything, you know, against it.
Honestly, yeah. No, I mean, I don't get it. I think there's almost two fan bases, Frank, isn't there? There's the fan base. I mean, I'm online and I owe my writing career to the fact that we can go online and we can do these things. So I'm not criticising the internet and so on, but you know, there is almost a different culture online than there is at the match, isn't there? I know it's impossible for everyone who supports Liverpool to go to the match, and I understand that. But some of the debates and the conversations I see online, you just don't hear it at the match, do you? You don't hear it in the pub around the ground. You don't, you know, it is a completely different culture. So yeah, no, I get what you mean. It's and also the thing about the internet is that people can hide behind, you know, keyboards, can't they? And they can say things and they can be critical, and they wouldn't do it if they were in person. And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. But what I would just go back to what you were saying there, and I always feel this myself, but you know, Liverpool Football Club's been around over 130 years. This is the most successful era in the club's history, and how blessed are we that our lives coincided with that period. Do you know what I mean?
I was going to ask you about that. Actually, I just want to say good evening, Frank and guest, says Paul Beck. I was going to good evening, Paul. I'm sorry. The thing is, what you've got. You said, you know, when you came into the era of Paisley, and you've just turned around and said that, you know, this is the greatest era we've had. What do you mean by that? Do you mean like going right back to Paisley, or do you mean like since 1990? Because we waited 30 years for the Premiership. We had waited 30 years, which is an incredible amount of time, you know, because people were born and they're all Liverpool supporters who were 30 years of age to see us with our first one. So before then, being Liverpool supporters, they'd never seen anything like that. And
I'm talking about our lives, Frank. I'm saying, you know, mine and your lives, we've lived through. But I would even include the modern era. I would say that if you look at so you're right, we went 30 years without a league title. But there's a great book out there, I don't know if it's still in print, but it's called A Banquet Without Wine. And I think that perfectly describes the period from 1990 to when we finally won the title, because we won everything else. And there aren't many clubs who can say that. You know what I mean? We won everything else.
Yeah, a banquet without wine, because we always celebrated, didn't we?
Yeah.
We always celebrated, even just being a Liverpool supporter, we celebrated. But the wine came when Klopp came and won us the league, won us the Premiership. And then,
Right.
went on to win the European Cup. He went on to, he's just won everything for us. So listen, going back now to the likes of Klopp and the likes of criticism that he was getting during the season, and people were actually saying, Klopp out. Could you understand that for 1 minute? Them saying that, these supporters.
Only in the context of modern football, Frank, because this is now a modern phenomenon in the game, isn't it? And the likes, the days when Alex Ferguson could be manager of a football club for six or 7 years without winning anything. Bill Shankly went 6 years, didn't he, without winning anything? Bob Paisley went 1 year without winning. Arsene Wenger stayed manager of Arsenal for years, when he was just finishing and stuff. Those days are gone in football. Klopp's an anomaly in the game, isn't he? 7 years at the club. It's an anomaly in the game. Managers don't stay that long.
No.
And so I can understand it in that context, but from a pure logical football point of view, no, I can't understand it. A man who's done what he's done at the club, given what he inherited, he's been given the freedom of the city. He should build statues to the man. Do you know what I mean? He won our first title in 30 years. He's won the European Cup, as you say. He's won everything. To even contemplate moving him on, after a bad season, is ridiculous. And actually, he's earned a bad season, hasn't he? People forget last season we were 2 games away from winning everything and being the greatest team ever. Yeah. The greatest team ever we would have been. But for, and for, what was it, for 85 minutes, we almost won the league, didn't we? Because City were getting beat 2-0 by Villa, I don't know. I don't get it. I'll never get it. I'm from a different era. But the idea that you can talk about sacking Klopp is just insanity to me. And thankfully, I think the majority of fans agree with us, don't they?
Well, they do agree with us. And this is the point, because if we ever see another manager, for example, I'm not just saying at Liverpool, but any other club, and he did exactly within 7 years, think about it, 7 years, winning what Klopp won for another club. I'm not talking about Klopp, I'm just talking about another manager, say for Newcastle, for example. Say for Newcastle, let's just say that. And win everything. We'd turn around and go, he's the greatest manager, this fella. The greatest. Because, see, and what you've got as well about Klopp, Jeff, whether you agree with me or not, he's brought players together on a shoestring. He's worked miracles. He's worked absolute miracles, because I know for a fact that he wanted different players and he wanted players brought in, but there was no money for them. There was no money for them unless, we sold. The thing is, whether you agree or disagree, I believe that he worked absolute miracles to get
Liverpool. I completely agree. I think Liverpool's model is living within their means. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of people out there want us to go out and be taken over by an oil state and spend, left, right, and centre. I don't want that for Liverpool. I think we could take more risks. I think FSG could afford to spend more money. They could have took risks in the January transfer market, in my opinion. But yeah, you're right. Klopp has had to live within his means. He's had to, he's had to fund the big, and we've made big signings, but he's had to fund those through sales.
Yeah.
And Michael Edwards, who's now gone, worked miracles, didn't he? Getting big money.
Brilliant. He was brilliant, Michael Edwards, and we allowed him to go. But there must have been something behind his decision. He never just says, "Oh, I think I'll go. I think I'll pack up now. I think I'll retire, or just move on to something else." There's definitely something going on, or there was with him.
Well, I never thought that at the time. I mean, he'd been at the club 10 years, but then Julian Ward goes and we lose another couple of people behind the scenes. So, and I think that's probably, I mean, there's probably lots of factors behind our drop-off this season, but, you know, things behind the scenes, at least with the coaching staff and with the backroom staff and the local leadership at the club, have been stable for a long time. And any manager in any business needs stability in the company or in the club or whatever it is. And, you know, for all the things that have gone on, you know, with FSG, the local leadership and the club locally has been very stable. And that's helped us to develop the way we have. And that's helped Klopp to achieve the success he's achieved. And this season, we've lost some of that stability, haven't we? There's talk of the club being up for sale, looking for investments. Key figures behind the scenes have left. Whatever those reasons are, I don't know, but key figures have left. And so there is something going on in the background at the club. Michael Gordon, who was pivotal locally in managing the club, running the club, he's now focused on investments. So he's not, you know, looking inwardly at the club. So I think, you know, there are multiple factors. You know, our failure to strengthen the midfield. The fact that I think the players are knackered after last season, and I think the way the season ended, I mean, it certainly knocked the stuffing out of me. Paris completely knocked the stuffing out of me. It took me ages to get, you know, my mojo back in terms of wanting to go the game again after that. So it must have had an impact on the players, but I think it's those factors. It's that kind of fatigue, burnout, lack of investment in key areas, and then a sort of disruption in the back room. It's probably played its part in the fact that the team has tailed off this season. But, you know, hopefully we get that. You know, hopefully the win over Everton was a huge shot in the arm, wasn't it? So, you know, hopefully this sparks a bit of a run, and, you know, all is not lost.
Yeah, well, we talk about that. But Paul Burke says the thing is, Frank, as you said, if you criticise, you're not a supporter. Mr. Klopp doesn't always get it. I was on it. This is what Paul Burke says by saying, this is genius. I have to disagree with Jeff. FSG stringing us along. We need mega investment or we fall behind. And I agree with Paul, because if we don't get fourth, I can't see the likes of Jude Bellingham coming here. I really can't. You know, but if FSG are still the owners, I don't think that they'll invest in them unless we sell somebody. And the big selling, there's only two, in my opinion, who you get a lot of money for, because we need, in my opinion, I don't know about yours, we need 3 midfielders. And I'm talking about top class, because we're at such a high standard that we've got to maintain that standard, if you know what I mean. Right, so this is me. You'll have, at the end of the season, when the window opens, if the owners are still the owners, that is, you know, present owners, I think they'd sell, well, they won't, I don't think, I know that they'd sell. And I'm going to surprise you at one, what I'm going to talk about, what I'll mention. That is, we'll sell Mo, because he's got a big contract and he's a big sellable player. And also Trent Arnold, I really think we'll sell him as well to draw the money in, to try and fix the midfield, and most probably a couple of other players as well.
Well, I mean, that's an apocalyptic scenario that you've just painted there, mate. No, that is an apocalyptic scenario. I mean, what I agree with you on is, you know, we do need investments in the squad. In the first team, actually, we need investments in the first team. And you know, I can see why. I mean, we look at the likes of Newcastle have just been taken over now. They've got really unlimited resources. City are 115 charges by the Premier League. I mean, I think so I see why fans are looking at that and thinking, how the hell can we compete with that? But I think City is a cautionary tale. Now, there's a lot of scepticism out there that the Premier League will do anything at all with City, and I can completely buy that and understand that. But I don't want that for our club, mate. I don't want that. I don't want success at all costs. I really don't. And really, the only way, if you're saying we need to compete with City and Newcastle and PSG, then the only way to do that is to get an oil state in, because there's no one else who can compete at that level. And for me, something will die in the club. As a keen historian of the club and a lover of its ethos and all of that, and everyone's entitled to their viewpoint on it, but I feel very strongly that after spending the last 10 years criticising City for their model, for us to replicate that would just kill me, to be honest.
Well, the thing is, you do have supporters, and quite rightly saying, it's just like what Paul Burke said there, that we will fall behind, because now what you've got as well, Jeff, you've got Chelsea, and their owner, he spent millions. He spent more, I think, this season than Liverpool spent in 10 years or whatever.
No, absolutely.
And,
but he's arguing on the basis that they had a transfer ban, so that doesn't count towards finance and sustainability, which is a dubious argument, isn't it? I don't know, Frank. I don't think there's any easy answers to this. I wouldn't want to go down a City model, and I think it's a case of careful what you wish for. I've been very critical of FSG myself. I've written very critical articles about FSG when they need criticising. I'm happy to do it, but I need to know who's taking over and what's behind that money and where's that money coming from. And I wouldn't want. I mean, when you say we fall behind, winning all seems to be the mentality today, and I can't buy into that. I just can't buy into it.
Yeah, but that's the way fans think. And
no, I get that. Yeah.
No matter how you look at it, Jeff, whether you agree or disagree, these owners have split the whole of the fan base apart. They really have, because they're looking at, me included. I don't want other Americans. I really don't want other Americans, to buy us. You see, look, you look at FSG, you look at them, and they brought in Redbird for they invested 600 million last year. 600 million. Not one penny of that went on the pitch, yet they invested in Liverpool Football Club. Can you work that one out?
Well, my understanding of that is that Redbird invested in FSG, didn't they?
Yeah.
So they took a stake in FSG, and FSG has interest in many other sport businesses, doesn't it?
But how come? I can't see this. I can't answer them. But how come that if they've got shares in Liverpool then? If the investors,
I could be wrong, Frank. My reading of that was that Redbird have a stake in FSG, and FSG owns Liverpool. So by extension, they're part of the investment group that owns them. But I could be wrong on that. I've got to be honest with you. I've never claimed to be a financial analyst or a market analyst. I mean, I get the frustration. I do get the frustration. I mean, I suppose as a supporter and a writer, I tend to try and be a bit balanced. So I can clearly see where FSG have got it wrong. But I can also see, they've built the main stand, they're building the Anfield Road end, they've rebuilt care. Well, have we paid for that?
Yeah.
How have we paid for that?
Well,
because because ticket prices have been frozen for about 4 years, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, I think wanted to put them up. Remember the custom?
No, and I was critical of it. In fact, I walked out on 77 minutes.
Yeah.
Like many fans did, and I was critical of that. But the ticket prices have been frozen as a result since then. So I don't know. I think my fear is if we get rid of FSG, or if FSG were to walk away, what are they going to be replaced with? Now, my personal preference, and I've said this I think I said this last time I was on the show, and I've said it many times. My personal preference is that Liverpool football should be owned and controlled by the community that gave birth to it. And I'm a big believer in fans on the board and all that. But I think we're probably not going to happen in my lifetime. So it's about what we can get from whatever owners we've got. And I think if you get owned by an oil state, then your ability to influence their decision making is going to be far less than we've got now. That's just my view.
No, I think it's a good view and a great opinion, but you've got to look at the way everything is. We're looking at a man who's worked miracles, and that's Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah,
we were great. We were great during the 60s, we were great during the 70s, we were great during the 80s. And then all of a sudden, there was a fallback in the 90s. And then we had, with Rafa coming in 2005, 1 year, but 2004, and 1 year he won the UEFA Cup. The European Cup. And then the following year, he won the FA Cup. And we got to another final. The following year to play AC again, become second in the league, and he was sacked, or he had to walk. He was told to go by Hicks and Gillette. But here's my point here. Here's my point. We got to the final 2005, and what you've got to look at, you're talking about finances. Were Liverpool buying players, by the way, at that time? We were buying players, right? We were also extending the ground. We built the Annie Road stand. We built the Kenny Dalglish stand as it is today, and we extended the Kop, and that was under David Moores. And we bought players, and we won the European Cup. But this lot, I don't like, I'm being honest with you, I don't like FSG. I really don't. I'm bringing in an American all the way from Seattle. And he's a great fella. It's Brian Fennell. And there he is.
Brian, all right, mate.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Frank? You?
Oh, not bad, not bad. Except I heard the news about the Qataris.
Yeah, walked away to Manchester United. And this is the frightening thing, as Jeff was saying, you have like Manchester City, now you'll have Manchester United, then you'll have Newcastle, Chelsea, they're spending like mad, but they're not spending on bad players, they're spending on quality players.
Yeah.
So if we don't invest in players, we will fall behind. And that's my opinion. And what's your opinion anyway? What do you think?
We are falling behind. There's no will. We are, because the lack of investments are, well, we're seeing what's happened. We're now at the ninth place, or last time I checked. Yeah. I mean, the $10 million net spends over the last few years, and if it weren't for Jurgen Klopp, during this 5-year run, would we have any trophies? Would we have any cups? That was pure Klopp sorcery. So, no. Get used to mid-table with this ownership. There is no there's no ambition from the top. There's no, and that sets the tone for everything. No, there's nothing here.
So there you have his opinions, yeah.
Sorry, Frank, what was that?
No, I'm just saying that's Brian's opinion.
That's an opinion. No, that's an opinion that I think a lot of fans share. To be honest with you, and I can understand where it comes from. I agree. There's been a lack of investment in key areas. One midfielder in 4 years, and we're seeing the impact of that now. We've got an aging midfield. The gap between the older, experienced players and the young, the likes of Bacetic who are coming up, is too big. We're very vulnerable to injuries in the midfield area. Also at centre back, I would say as well.
Absolutely.
So I would definitely agree. I can't argue with any of that. The one thing I would say is, and I almost know the answer that will come back my way when I say this, but Liverpool is now the third richest club in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I don't think it's an issue that we don't have the resource to invest. I think it's about strategy. And their strategy since they came in has been to live within their means. They've been very open about the fact. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm an apologist for FSG. My view on billionaires and venture capitalists is, not a positive one, broadly speaking. But they've been very honest about the fact that when they came in, they were attracted to invest in Liverpool because of financial fair play, which is proven to be a waste of time. So they were very keen on a model whereby everyone was competing on a level playing field and we all had to live within our means. And obviously that's gone out the window. My criticism of them on that is that they failed to adapt. So, there's been 2 times now under FSG's leadership where they've failed to capitalise. And this season is one of them. They almost won everything last season. If ever there was a time to go and take a risk in the transfer market and invest big, it was the summer, and they didn't do that. So my criticism of them would be one of strategy, but then I would still say that I don't care who our owners are, but or what country they're from or what nationality they are. But what I don't want is an oil state that's got human rights abuses, that the money is corrupt. And I don't want a club like that owning. I don't want a state like that owning our club.
Well, that I'm a historian, don't you?
I do.
And that doesn't wash with me. I'm being honest with you there, Jeff. Human rights. Think about this country and the human rights with Iraq and Yemen and Libya. Think about the human rights. So that's not an argument to me.
Well, I don't
when someone comes out about human rights.
I understand. I just want to footnote that too. Also, these are vulture capitalists. So I agree. I know what you're saying. I get the spirit and the intent of what you're saying, Jeff. But again, you have these American billionaires, hedge funders, or essentially, vulture capitalists. Okay, so that's what happened with the economy a few years ago. You had people, banks, companies, I guess, getting loans for banks, and then all of a sudden, Wall Street started betting against the company succeeding, and or when a company invests, say, in an area, how many people are displaced to accommodate the new business. So, I mean, human rights is subjective. I mean, sure, what happened to the Bangladeshi workers and Filipino workers in Qatar is atrocious, is dreadful, but it doesn't really differ much from someone losing their home because some company bet against that area or wanted to gentrify and do something to the neighborhood. So we can't pick and choose what human rights we're in.
No, I think we can. I think if we have a right to criticize FSG, which I completely agree with,
yes,
we have a right to criticize any owner or potential owner.
Sure.
I don't think human rights are subjective. In fact, they're defined and they're written down in international law. And I think it's a false equivalence.
It's written in law, but the interpretation of it, I'm saying, is subjective.
No, that's right. You can interpret so lawyers can interpret laws, or judges can interpret laws, but it's not subjective to the likes of you and I that are defined human rights. Yeah, they are defined human rights, and I think it's a false equivalence. It's a false equivalence, and venture capitalists. I don't want venture capitalists being involved in football in an ideal world. I'm a realist. Mm-hmm. We're the only owner we're ever going to get in my lifetime is going to be a venture capitalist. So we can make choices. We can pick and choose. We can say what's the lesser of two evils. And for me, a country that beheads people for petty crime, a country that makes homosexuality illegal, a country that has migrant workers dying on poverty pay in terrible conditions. I would probably choose FSG over an owner like that, even though I wouldn't argue FSG are in any way, shape, or form perfect owners for the club.
They're not perfect.
So we can pick and choose. I think we have no choice but to pick and choose.
Because you've only got to look at their investments. And one of the investments is in a big industrial firm called Raytheon. And what do Raytheon manufacture?
I have no idea.
Arms. Where's all the money going to? It's going into
Frank, so Frank, what you're saying is but what you're saying is
no matter how you look at finances, though, Jeff, it's no matter how you look at finances or who should be owners of Liverpool Football Club. Honestly, I'm into all this, by the way. I'm into everything. I really am, and it's just a matter of we could easily be contradicting ourselves by saying, I don't want them as owners. I just don't want Americans or owners. And there's Americans sitting there. If you know what I mean. I just don't want more American owners. It's as simple as that, because they know nothing about football. And when I mentioned about Redbird and their £600 million investment, did you know that they actually bought an ice hockey team with that money?
I believe so. Yeah.
Why couldn't he invest something on the pitch? I'll just read a few things here. Brian Edley, we are miles behind. There is no excuse for us to be behind Arsenal, Spurs, Newcastle, etc., etc. And mentioning about the finances, and with the third richest club in the league, he says on paper, and it's not on the pitch. So he's spot on there. Brian Edley says, why couldn't they buy before the World Cup? Every owner from every country is dodgy. And he carries on by saying, I agree with Jeff, says Brian Edley. I agree with Jeff regarding the club's morals. But there isn't any left in the world. And Paul Burke says, I don't think FSG have the same morals as you, Jeff. They will sell to the highest bidder, whoever they are. And he's right.
Perhaps.
He's right. They will sell, no matter who it is.
Maybe. Perhaps you're right. I don't think FSG... Yeah, I'm not naive enough to think FSG share my socialist principles and left-wing principles. They most certainly don't. They are venture capitalists. Absolutely venture capitalists. And it saddens me no end that probably any owner we get is not going to fit the model I have in my head of a perfect owner. Even David Moore's building, go back as far as you like, but I go back to the argument that, it's about the lesser of two evils. And I think I look at what's happening to City now, in terms of 115 charges against them, and whether anything comes of that or not. If I was a City fan, I would feel ashamed.
Yeah, but
people said to me, would you want those titles handed to you? And I would say, the question is, if you're a City fan, why would you want to keep those titles, knowing that the club cheated to get them?
Yeah.
And that's the type of, potentially the type of owner we could end up with.
Okay. But at least they're trying. I mean, I know you're saying the financial fair play, they're skirting the rules.
So if you're into football, the thing that makes football interesting for me, the thing that makes me so passionate is the risk of failure. The risk of failure makes the highs all the better. The fact that we've fought and kept pace with an anomaly like Man City for the last 4 or 5 years makes our achievements that much greater. If we are to just go out and dope the league and buy it, then that holds no appeal to me at all.
Understand. My
Oh, sorry, Brian, I can't hear you. Sorry, mate. No.
One sec. But don't you think it's a good discussion, though, Jeff?
No, I love it, Frank. I love these debates, and these are the type of debates you have over a pint normally, aren't they? But
no pint.
No pint tonight, like.
No pint tonight.
I'm having a cup of tea.
That's great. Let's go and change this.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead for it, Brian.
Brian, go ahead. Brian, can you hear us? No.
I'll call back. 1 second.
No, I can hear you now. We can hear you.
Just about, yeah. Oh, he's gone.
He's come back. He's coming back. Yeah, because it's no use, like the sensible. But you do get like lunatics. But what I'm going to change I'm going to digress from ownership now.
Okay.
You don't mind, do you?
No, I don't. No. Feeling a bit outnumbered.
I'm relieved to that, to be honest. I'm relieved to that. Right, so the beginning of this season, Jeff, we all agree with the lack of investments in the summer. Now, I'm going back, I'll let you know, Jeff, I'm going back 2 years ago, two summers ago, right? And I said, we need a strong, world-class or top-class quality midfielder. I said it then. The beginning of this season, I said, we don't need one midfielder. We need 2 midfielders. And people who know me, and they said, yeah, we do. And then we got none. Okay, so let's cut the chase now. Let's cut the chase. We've had I watched, and I told people to watch this, the Charity Shield game against City, right, this year, or, the start of the season. Liverpool were brilliant. And even the commentators said, I wasn't there, the commentators said, you can't see any further than these two who are going to dominate again. That's what they said, right? So we'll move on now to before last week. Let's move on to last week. And Liverpool were in the doldrums, right? I don't like derby matches, and I'm being honest, I never went, and I'll tell you why I didn't go, Jeff and Brian, why I didn't go, and I haven't been to one for years, because I remember being in the the Kenny Dalglish stands. I'm going back years ago, and I said to this fella, I'll tell you when it was when Stan Collymore signed for us.
Okay.
Anyway, he's playing and whatever. And then all of a sudden, I heard chanting. It was a derby game. And I said to this fella, what are they chanting? Now, I was high up in the Dalglish stand, and they said murderers and gesturing. And I said, and I just left it at that. And then again, so, like a few years later, it was kept going, and the gestures and everything else. And that was it. That was the last time I went to a Derby game. So, getting onto the Derby game, what was your view from what we've been playing? You know, if you're looking, say, like this time last week, to when we played Saturday, how did you think, Jeff, because I haven't asked you this, how did you think that the match would go?
How did I think it was going to go?
Yeah.
I was very worried. I was very worried before the game. I saw Everton against Arsenal, and obviously there was a bounce because they got a new manager in. Sean Dyche likes his teams to be very physical, doesn't he? Very big into set pieces. And I just thought the way our defence and midfield have been this season, that Everton would bully us. Win set pieces high up the pitch, and our defence wouldn't be able to cope. So I was really worried going into that derby. I remember being in the pub before the game and saying to the lads, "I'm really, this will be it. We lose this one. The pressure really is on." And I just didn't expect what we got. What we got was, a little bit like what we saw last season at times. We saw. Yeah. We saw, the pressing game was back, the energy was back. It looked like the players felt really hurt by what had been going on, and we haven't seen that. We didn't see that against Wolves. We didn't see it against Brighton. It looked like the players were, wanting to make a point. I think the atmosphere inside the ground undoubtedly played its part because it was fantastic. But yeah, it was a high energy, high pressing. We dominated possession, we dominated everything in the game, and frankly, probably should have scored more goals.
Yeah,
but I didn't see it coming. I thought we'd lose or come away with a draw.
What did you think, Brian?
Yeah, like Jeff, I was worried. I thought it'd be a 1-1 draw or a draw of some sort, especially because of Sean Dyche's his tendencies. And we've had challenges with that in the past. Eked out a win every now and then, but it's been a grueling, grinding match. But yeah, I liked it. And what we were talking about, Gakpo and Nunez, they're slowly, the lights flickering, starting to come on, and they look pretty good together. Just the interaction with those, and I love Bajcetic. Just absolutely love him. He is a gem. Absolute gem. So, but overall, I thought it was an impressive win, but against one of the lowest teams in the league. But it was what we needed. Exactly. What we
needed. Before I put the kettle on, I'm going to put the kettle on. Right, so I'm going to leave you with a question here. Okay. Sure. That was a great win. Even Henderson was doing the high press, and that impressed me. By the way, the high press. He was running after everything. Where he got the energy from, I don't know, and I'm not interested, to be honest. But I just want him to maintain this energy and the high press, because we didn't allow. This is the thing: we did not allow Everton to play the way they played, and even Klopp said that himself, by the way. And I said, I have to be, the stars. I just didn't. I didn't want to watch it. I really didn't. And anyway, but I gave a prediction. I said we're going to win this soon. We are going to win. So I'm going to leave you with the question.
Okay.
And this is a cracker. And this is going to you, Brian, because you've got to leave. I've just had a message.
Yeah.
And it's going the same questions going to Jeff.
Okay.
Right. Pick your team for Saturday. And don't forget, there's most of our players are back. Pick your team.
Yep. Okay.
Go on, Brian. What I would say, Brian, before we pick the team, absolutely spot on about Bajcetic, because for me, he looked like he's been in the side for years. He didn't look. Yes. He took an absolute kicking from the Everton midfield. That was a very big, tough, physical Everton midfield. And he took a right kicking, but he just kept going. In fact, I think he ran the midfield, to be honest with you.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
A very impressive performance by Bajcetic, and so I guess he's first name on my team sheet for Saturday.
Oh, absolutely. No question about it. But yeah, I'm going to digress for a second. I still say keep Fabinho, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah. Is it the Bacetić or I'm going to call it? Frank's been calling him.
I call him Bacetić, but I don't know whether
Bacetić. That works for me.
Is correct.
Okay, but I like Badger. Okay, yeah, he's definitely my starter. I think going the rest of the season, he's there till he can't go. So,
yeah.
I'll go with him. Okay, obviously Alisson, back four. I still like Tsimikas. No, Robbo was sound, but I like the idea of platoon this too. Tsimikas, I'll go with. Sorry, Virgil's back. Is he? Okay, Virgil.
Yeah, he is,
okay. Do I go Matip? Yeah, I'll go Matip, and then obviously Trent on the right. Badger mid, but he played a more advanced position though than defensive mid. So that I'd go with that then.
I think he was more.
I'll go with Fabinho, Badger, and then let's see. I'll go with Hendo. Hopefully he can repeat the previous performance, and then Gakpo, Nunez, and Salah.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with. I think there's only one player I would disagree with on that one. So mine would be Alisson in goal, obviously. Mm-hmm. Trent and Robbo. I'd go with Robbo instead of Tsimikas. Okay. As much as I like him, I just think Robbo is another level. I'd have Van Dijk and Matip. I would agree with. Same midfield for me. I don't think he's got much choice, if I'm completely honest with you. He could maybe play Elliott instead of Bacetić, and I wouldn't be too upset with that. He could play Milner instead of Henderson, but I think Henderson gets the nod for me. And I'd go with that same front three with Bobby coming on at some stage.
Yeah.
I think that front three, if the midfield can click like it did against Everton, that front three is got loads of pace. Yes. I mean that first goal Salah scored against Everton, the counter attack, that was like last season. That the pace was unreal, and I don't think there's many teams in the league that could actually cope with that. You know, if we can manage to do that consistently for the rest of the season, and add some defensive solidity, then we might have a decent end to the season. Apart from Robbo, I think we've picked the same team there, haven't we?
Okay.
Do you know what? I don't think it's only what you said there about Salah's goal, opening goal. You know, that was the old time. Do you ever remember him scoring against? I think it was a Southampton or someone, and the ball came up in that area.
Yeah, against United famously as well. Yeah,
and even Everton. Remember the Everton game last season when we beat them 4-1 or 4-0, 4-1 at Goodison. And he just ran, and he outran that Coleman. Remember, Coleman was it. Now, think of the 1-2 he had with Nunez. That was a cracking 1-2. It was brilliant. And Salah actually said after the game, and he was laughing about it when he had young Badger with him, and he said. I know, he said, he can run faster than me. He said, so I knew. He said, he had to keep up. He said, but he knew where I knew where he was going to put it. That's why I was there for him.
Well, you know, if you watch the replay of that goal, Frank, if you watch the replay of that goal, you can actually see that. You can see Salah initially struggling to keep up with Gakpo and Nunez. And then he just has this turn of pace right at the end, where I think it's sheer adrenaline and desire to get into the box, because he knows, as you've just said, Nunez is going to put it there. I need to be there. And he somehow finds it in himself to get there, but you can tell he's struggling at one point.
Yeah. But the thing is as well, I was surprised that, again, I was going to mention, and you mentioned him actually, in the same move, and I was going to mention Gakpo was taking over Salah. And Salah's one of the fastest. Now, people are saying that Gakpo is he's slow. That proves that he's not slow, and he's very quick.
No, he's got such pace.
Brilliant.
The other reason why. Sorry, Brian.
Go on. I was just
saying. My reason for going with Robbo was, for the second goal, Bajcetic, he's got about 3 players around him. He somehow gets the ball to Robbo, and Robbo cuts in field, and the pace on him, and then he just finds Salah, and then and then you see Trent busting along to get up to receive the pass from, and I think that move starts Bajcetic, Robbo, Salah, Trent, and then Gakpo at the far post. It was just. And I just think that telepathic understanding between those players is something to watch.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. It was, the burst of speed. And that was the beauty of Liverpool on Saturday. Now, if they can produce the same form against Newcastle, we've got to look at Newcastle, right? They're no great shakes. They are no great shakes. And if we can produce that, what we displayed against Everton, I think we'll go on and win it quite comfortably, by the way.
But that's why I chose Tsimikas against Robbo, because we're facing Newcastle. That was one of the main reasons, because, pace. Yes, Robbo is a step above, but Tsimikas is adequate in crosses, but he has that extra step, and he's a little better defensively. Robbo tends to get turned around at times and then just left in the dust by your pacier wings, and that's I was looking at Newcastle. Tsimikas has that little bit of recovery, but still contributes on the offensive end. So that's why. But no, I'm with you. If we can repeat this performance against Newcastle, then we have a good chance. Good chance pulling it out.
I think it'll be great, though, if we did, because it'll give you, Jeff, myself, Paul Bay, Brian Edley, and everyone else who's, on the things there, all the confidence to go on. And we could easily finish in the top 4. We could easily do it like we did. Was it last year or the year before? The year before.
Yeah, the year before.
When we went 10 games, I think we won 10 games on the trot. And it could easily be done.
But that's my thing, though. I mean, to go back to it's before I was cut off, we talked about, these 10-match streaks, these other streaks are wonderful, and it happens in the sport. But imagine that 10-match streak if we had adequately bought at the beginning of the season. We wouldn't have to be doing it as digging ourselves out of the hole. We'd be doing it as chasing the title. And that's been my biggest point of contention with this ownership. Not so much American notwithstanding, but the begrudging, or again, almost blackmailed or strong arm coercion to get them to invest or in a timely manner into the first team. That's all. But anyway, end game streak.
Well, there's a couple of comments or two, and it's from Paul Bay, and it's only what we were discussing before. But I'm carrying on with what he says right now.
Sure.
He says, "Honest Reds with honest opinions, great stuff." And he carries on by saying, "The high press took Iwobi out and no Thiago to slow it down. Just say." Stephen, Batachi, whatever his name is, Badger. That's what I said.
E-boy, let's call him that, yeah.
He's got a great Spanish Scouse accent, by the way. Did you hear him get interviewed?
No.
Honestly, he's obviously a Spanish kid, but he's obviously been living in Liverpool for a few years now, and he's picked up a bit of a Scouse.
I love it.
Yeah.
But
Spano Scouse.
Well, they've all done that in the past. I mean, even at Tsimikas, he has, yeah. Yeah, he takes the Michael. But Jan Mulby is the greatest of all scouts.
Absolutely.
He's more scouts than us. You know what I mean?
I know.
Absolutely brilliant. So do you think that, your opinion about Saturday and your team that you picked, see, we've got a better bench now. And what I'd like to see is Virgil back. I know that you've mentioned Virgil because I was going to ask, is he an automatic choice to come back into the side? Because the other two, you've got to say Matip and Joe Gomez, they played very well. Albeit that Joe was marking a young kid, I think it was his first match or whatever, a little teenager. So who was you put? I never heard who you'd put about Virgil. I just heard Virgil being mentioned and the kettle was boiling. So
I think we agreed on that one. We agreed on Virgil. Yeah.
Who you put next to him? I don't know. I never heard it. Next to Virgil.
Matip, because there's not much else. Yeah, can't throw Phillips in there. Okay. And I'm definitely not going to throw Gomez. For me, Gomez is done. I don't want to. He's done with Liverpool. So
I don't know I don't know whether he's cut. I'm sorry there, Brian. I just cut in, and I'll tell you for why I'm cutting in. It's about Matip. Did you notice through that game, Matip was actually carrying the ball into the opposition area, and that was taking out other players. And he was passing them brilliantly. The passes out to the wing or inside or whatever was spot on. And I think that must have given him a lot of confidence. It must have done. And that's the first
phenomenal passer.
In a long time, carrying the ball out. Whether it was instructions, I don't know.
He was doing that quite a lot last season, Frank.
Last season, yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing about Matip, I think with centre backs, you always need a leader, don't you? One of them. So I think Hippier and Carragher. Carragher was the lead. He was the voice, wasn't he? And Hippier says that himself now. Does he? When he closes his eyes, he can still hear Carragher's voice now.
Yeah.
And I think with Matip and Gomez, and I agree, Gomez has struggled massively since he came back from injury. But with Matip and Gomez, you've got two decent centre backs, good centre backs, but they're not leaders. And so I think it's basically Van Dijk and one of them, and I would prefer Matip. If Konate was fit, it would be Van Dijk and Konate.
Oh, yeah.
But one of them needs to be a leader, needs to be an organiser, and I don't think Matip and Gomez are organisers. So playing them next to each other was bound to be a problem, and it has been. They just clicked against Everton. Everyone clicked against Everton. But I wouldn't like that to be our centre back pairing for the rest of the season.
No, Virgil has to be there to consolidate the defence. He has to be, no matter how you look at it. And if he can stay fit through the rest of the season, there's something there. And don't forget, what we've noticed today is the other fella, Diaz, he's back running. And Klopp said he's only like 2 or 3 weeks away. And you've got Jota, who's already has a few minutes, and Bobby's has a few minutes. So the actual bench is looking that much stronger. And that's the way I look at it now, especially with them coming back.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Diaz, I would say we've missed him a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, his energy and I mean, he's a bit like Nunes in the sense that whether he scores in the game or not, he causes problems for the opposition. He occupies their defenders. Yeah. He makes them think twice about going forward. He's absolutely brilliantly technically. His level of skill and control of the ball at pace is just something to behold. I remember seeing him in the League Cup final. It might have been the FA Cup final against Chelsea, and he gave them a nightmare. And I think we've really, really missed him. Really missed him. As much as we've missed anyone, I think.
Yeah, I know. I totally. Do you agree with that as well, Brian? About Diaz missing him?
Yeah, I'd say if we missed Diaz immensely for what depth purposes as well. Now with Nunez, it'll be interesting to see how those two play together, because I know, well, early days they struggled, but they're almost, as Jeff said, they're almost the identical player. That they both start out wide and cut to the inside, both pace and the energy, and essentially disruptors. But it'll be interesting to see how those two work together. If they're on the pitch at the same time, will they play off each other, complement each other, or will they clash again, both wanting to attack, cut in from the left side? But yeah, glad to have him back soon.
Well, I think that let's not look at the rest of the team. Just look at the forwards, and I can imagine the rotation. Say like Nunez, for example. Let's just say him, right, on the left wing in one game, and then out the next, and with Diaz on the left wing. But Nunez can come on like Jota. Jota could start a game, drop, and then come on, for another game. And I think that's the way it'll go. And that really will. If you're an opposing manager and you're going, well, who's going to start here today? Then you've got the others coming on. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic opportunity for us, especially with those lads fit, to start just going at them. This is what we've got to do. We've just got to go at every team from now on, including Madrid.
Yeah, that's going to be
that'll tell the tale of the midfield.
Well, that was my question. But that was one of my questions. Do you bring in, on Saturday, Virgil, or do you relieve him for the Madrid game?
I bring him in. Bring him in.
I think he needs a game before he faces Madrid.
Yeah. I think. This is just me. I think that if Virgil starts Saturday, it'll give him more of a confidence booster, not only but in his physical attributes, if you know what I mean. He'll have them under his belly. He'll have them minutes, vital minutes, to go in against Real. And we do miss Virgil, especially with set pieces. Especially with set pieces. And Matip, sometimes he's got a head like a tripney bit. Matip when he goes up, for a corner. That's my opinion, but he's good, in defence for clearing set pieces, just like Virgil, set pieces and corners, because we were brilliant at it. We were absolutely brilliant at it. Then all of a sudden, we weren't so good.
No. I was just thinking there while you were talking, Frank, if you think about it, I mean, I think I agree with your point about midfield. We definitely need, I think Bajcetic might mean we need 2 world-class midfielders instead of 3.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at that team now, with everyone fit, you are starting to see, aren't you, the spine of the next great team.
Yeah.
You've got Konate, absolutely, he's only a young lad, relatively speaking, as a centre-back.
Yeah.
In midfield, you've got Bajcetic, who's got massive, Harvey Elliott, Carvalho. I know he's an attacking, but can play in that, position. And then, up front, Salah's getting on now, isn't he? Bobby's getting on now, but you've got behind them, you've got, Nunez, Diaz, Jota. There is the emergence, isn't there?
Even Elliott, you mentioned Elliott.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got Elliott to play on the right.
Yeah. And he can finish.
Yeah.
Oh, he can finish, yeah. He can finish. He's a good little player. I was talking to somebody and they said, Elliott's not a Liverpool player, really, I said, oh, behave yourself. But this is what you get. These are full of opinions, you see.
Yeah. I'm curious about the opinion, though. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, and that's why.
How? Okay.
Yeah, that's why Paul Burke said, "Honest Reds with honest opinions, great stuff," and that's what it's all about. Great stuff, instead of arguing and just spitting the dummy out the pram and get sulking. But that's the way it is. That's opinions. And Jeff's an author, and he's an author on football as well. Show me a book there because he missed it.
Oh well, this is it's a
nice
paperback edition of Stanley Park Story, which is it's a novel I wrote about two families in Liverpool, one red, one blue.
Okay.
And it kind of traces the lives through 60 years of the Merseyside derby. And if you look at the relationship between the two clubs and the two supporters over that period, it's waxed and waned. It's gone through periods of, the friendly derby, to a more toxic version of the derby today. And so their families' lives and their paths that they take sort of mirror that.
Oh, interesting.
And it's the only novel I've written, and so I'm pleased that it's gone to paperback edition. So, and I'm planning to go back to Stanley Park and write a follow up to it.
Okay.
Because I quite like writing fiction. If I'm completely honest, it's always been a dream to write fiction. And so that might be one of my next steps in writing. But a writer, but just a Red like everyone else, and everyone's opinion is counts, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter who you are. We've all got our own opinions, and
sure.
That's the way.
But there'd be no fans, would there, if there was no opinions?
Well, footy would be boring if we all agreed.
Well, exactly. Well, isn't that part and parcel with fandom? Supporting you, no matter how outlandish or whatever, or earth-based reality. Sure, yeah, we all have them.
Paul Burke says, "We'll have a look at that, Jeff. I promise."
Nice one. Available in all good bookstores, Paul, and a few bad ones.
Can you get them online and Amazon or somewhere?
Yeah, you can order it from Amazon as well. Amazon, Waterstones, order it direct from the publisher. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will order one. Yes, definitely.
Oh, nice one, lad.
All right, I'll do that.
2 sales.
Dennis Paparak will buy one as well. He's another American guest. He lives in Tampa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got a message off Jason. He says he's on a conference call or something.
Yeah.
This is
my call is pushed back, so I have some more time. If you don't mind if I overstay my welcome. No, this is great talking to Jeff, and it's great talking to you too.
No, I'm absolutely delighted that you're here. To be honest, as you know, you're always welcome on the show. See, when we talk about football, when we talk about football in general, it always comes up, doesn't it? Shankly, Paisley, and he always gets left out. Just bear with me with this: Shankly, Paisley, Kenny, Rafa, Jürgen, and there's always someone who gets left out, and that's Joe Fagan, who won a treble. He won a treble
in his first season.
Season.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And he always seems to be left out. Because I know the reason why he just walked, because I was there at the time. Why, the reason. And it's just one of those things that to have a manager come in to manage your team and win a treble.
Yeah.
No president of that, but he hardly gets mentioned there to your Joe. Fake.
It's unreal, isn't it? And it's hard to think of an equivalent, isn't it, to that? That's just absolutely. It's not just any treble either. The league, the European Cup, and the domestic trophy as well.
Yeah,
and,
well, that was.
I can't. Did we get to the semi-final of the FA Cup that season?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, we got to the semi-final of the FA Cup.
So it could have been unprecedented quadruple.
But
And that's it.
Thinking about Merseyside football, Frank, sorry, Liverpool and Everton won everything that year.
Well, Paul
possible.
Yeah, well, Paul Burke says actually, and Houllier too, Frank. Houllier. And I just went past him, and he just get missed out as well. And don't forget, he won 5 trophies in one season.
Yeah,
5.
And had a similar impact on the club as Shankly. Because Liverpool were in the doldrums when he took over. Yes. He transformed training. He transformed the players' attitude to diet and everything. Revolutionised the club and went on to win, as you say, 5 trophies. So he's a Shankly-esque figure, in my opinion. Shankly will always be the pinnacle. But in terms of what he did, in terms of revolutionising the club's approach to football, he's had that similar impact.
Well, Jake Whittaker, he's just joined us, and he said, Frank and the boys, Frank and the boys, right, who do they want to make a point? Who do they want to make a point and see what they think if we were took over by Sheikh owners? Well, we've gone through that, and we're giving them money. I'd go for, and this is who we'd like to buy, Declan Rice, which is a good shout, by the way, and Jude Bellingham. That's what he said. And Paul Burke finishes by saying, we got beat by Man United at Goodison in the semis.
Yeah.
I think that Green... Was I there that night? I was. Greenwald, do you remember him? Greenwald, she scored. Greenwald.
Yeah. Greenoff, yeah.
Well, Greenoff was it? Or Greenwald?
Greenoff. Jimmy Greenoff.
O'Brien,
Jimmy Greenoff, is it? Or Brian Greenoff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
One of them.
I always remember me Auntie Leah. My Auntie Leah wasn't into football. She wasn't into anything. And she, the Italian family, I'm talking about our Italian family. And she said to me, Lou McCarty was on Granada Report or something. And she went, do you know that he's related to us, to the family? Lou McCarty. I said, I don't want to hear that. Because we were playing Man U, he was on Granada Report or something like that, I tried to put it the back of me, minds forevermore, but it just came out there, Lou McCarty. Yet the Greenoff brothers says Paul Burke.
Yeah.
It shows you though, doesn't it? How the memory sticks, how that memory sticks about, Man United. And I'll never forget as well. I don't want to be on a negative note, but I have to now, talking about Man U. When we got beaten, was it 95?
77. Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about 77.
No, when we were beaten by, that goal that went through all the players and everything else, when we were in the FA Cup final, that was...
Yeah, that was Cantona's header. Yeah,
Cantona, when Evans was the manager.
Yeah. And he did that, didn't he, again? Just did that with his... But I always remember, it was funny, what's his name? The big barrel now, God blimey. Our big centre-half from Spurs. Oh, what was his name?
Oh, Ruddock.
Ruddock.
That was a classic, that match. I know where you're going with that, yes.
He kept doing that.
3-3 Thursday night match.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. And that's what you're at. That's what you're at, the likes of, these particular things. Do you know, I mentioned, players, a few players, and I go back to the Shankly days. And I always remember, I was always in the Kop, always. And me and my mate, we got a ticket for the, the old stand. It's the big main stand now. And we were sitting in there. And we was always calling Peter Cormack for everything, in the Kop. Maybe mate. Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
This is genuine, this. And this fella was sitting next to some old fella. I think he was my age then, you know what I mean? Now, so we went like that, and he said, listen, lads, just gentle, just so gentle he was. He said, listen, lads, he said, never mind, caller, just look at him, just keep your eye on him. That's all, just keep your eye on him. And that was the best bit of advice I ever had from that man, me and my mate, because he was absolutely sensational for Liverpool. Because he said that the fella at the end, and he said, do you see what I mean? He looks over there and he puts the ball over there and they're away. And we always thought like he was mispassing, because sometimes the players couldn't take what he was doing, if you know what I mean. But what a player he was. And I go back then to 74 was absolutely amazing. That Newcastle game, absolutely amazing. I'm going to ask you, Jeff. You started to watch, because you're a young lad then, and you, Brian, when you started to watch, right? Yeah, and you must have seen this fella. I'm not saying you've seen him live or whatever, or even seen film of him. But I think one of the most underrated midfielders for Liverpool, and I wish we had him today in midfield, is Terry McDermott.
I was fortunate enough to see Terry McDermott live. My abiding memory of Terry McDermott live is 78 against Spurs. Bob Paisley said it was the greatest goal ever scored at Anfield, and
yes.
I was in the main, what is now the main stand, down by the away end, down by the Spurs end, with my dad and my, I can remember it all. My dad, my uncle, and my cousin. And Liverpool battered Spurs 7-0 that day. I remember going the game thinking they'd just bought Ozzy Ardiles and Ricky Villa, hadn't they? And
Ricky Villa, yeah.
I remember being really nervous, thinking, this is going to be a tough game. Not at all. We absolutely hammered them. But that goal, it was like watching ballet.
Yeah.
It started off in our half. It's swept out to Highway. Highway pings it, and it's like McDermott has run from his own half, and his head meets the ball at the perfect moment, and it goes in the back of the net. It was just, and I couldn't wait to get home so I could watch Match of the Day and watch it again, because it was incredible. And Terry McDermott just was a magician. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I'm glad you mentioned that particular thing, because I've actually mentioned this on the shows, when we've been talking football. I'm talking about the ordinary shows before the podcast, these Liverpool podcasts. And I said, the three best goals I've ever seen, and the best pass I've ever seen, and the best save I've ever seen. And it was Terry Max as top, right? The 7th goal, the header. That's the finest club goal anywhere, right? Terry McDermott again against the same opposition at White Hart Lane when we were down there. And the ball came to him. He was out on the right. The ball came to him on his chest, on his thigh, and he volleyed it. Unbelievable goal. That was second. Right. And do you know what the third one was? And there was a toss-up between McDermott again. I said, I can't have him 3 times. And the McDermott goal, what I was thinking of was that was it Main Road we were up at in the semi-final when he chipped the goalie. The ball came to him and he just chipped it. What a goal that was. It was fantastic. But I said, I can't have him 3 times. So we were picked, and was there at the time, was Jan Molby against Man United. When he picked the ball in our half, ran towards the cop and wellied it. He did not welly it. It went in like a rocket. So that was my third. The best pass I've ever seen, and I only mentioned this last week to someone, and it was a cracker. It was against Everton. It was Fernando Torres. He tied it. All the players were around him. The Everton players were around him. He tied it and flicked it. He backheeled it as it was in flight after he kneed it. Right on through to Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard was running and he ran right onto it and Steven Gerrard scored. Do you ever remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, the best save...
a rival for best goal has got to be Torres's goal against Blackburn.
Oh!
Okay.
On the
right, yep.
Terry McDermott, what I've just mentioned.
Yeah, exactly like that, wasn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
It was an incredible goal, that. And I've mentioned that loads of times, you know, how good Torres was. But you know what the best save was? We was in the same stand, me and my mate, because we were always in the cup and this day. And I'll tell you what it was. And it was in the Anfield Road end. And there was a corner to Liverpool. And the ball came over. And it was Chris Lawler. And Chris Lawler rose. And he headed it. And it was going into the... It was honestly, it was going into, you know, there, the corner. Right in the corner. You couldn't get a better angle. Right there. And the goalkeeper, I'll tell you who he was in a moment, somehow he got to it and put it out for the corner. And you just see it like that. And we all went, oh. And he got a great standing ovation for it. Do you know who that was? Have a guess who do you think it was? He got a great standing ovation.
Jennings.
Not Jennings, no.
Banks?
No. Yes.
Banks, the next guess. No.
Banksy, yeah. Gordon Banks.
It was Banks.
Pop loved him, didn't he?
Oh, it was incredible save.
Didn't Shankly want to buy him?
Yeah, but he wouldn't leave. I think it was Leicester or Stoke he was with.
Yeah.
I know he was with Leicester, but Shankly did, but he didn't want to leave. And he loved Liverpool.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Every time he went down to the Kop, you know, he got a great ovation, you know, and he always clapped back, you know, just went like that. Always. And he admired Liverpool, and that's the unfortunate thing. That's the unfortunate thing.
We didn't have a bad goal, did we?
Ray Clemo.
Yeah.
Oh. Ray Clements was, I was on LFC TV, I was on there for ages. And he said to me, pick your best ever side. I went, okay. And, you know, the likes of Hunt are picked. No one can ever leave out Hunt or Dalglish for that matter. Even Steven Gerrard in midfield are picked. But what goalie? I just went Clements, number one, every day. And he was better than Shilton, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
He was well better than Shilton.
Easily.
And yeah, you know, he never got as many caps as Shilton. I think
always
Shilton had a bit of blue eye, to be honest.
I mean, I wasn't bothered about Liverpool players playing for England, but it just felt it's just an injustice, wasn't it? Because he was every bit. He was better than Shilton. I agree with you. He was a better goalie than Shilton. Yeah,
far better in my opinion. But even today, I don't want our players playing for them. I really don't. And you know what it's all about. You know it's about the establishment and everything else. That's why I don't want that. I couldn't care less if they played for England. Never played for England again. In all honesty. And I know it's controversial with what I'm saying, but I have beliefs. Personal beliefs, that is. And it's like personal beliefs with chance, because the usual chance we're getting chances again on Saturday. And what I said, someone said to me, well, why what would you do to stop it? I said, well, Liverpool's got to come out and stop it. They have to come out. They came out about the homophobic chants about Chelsea, you know, against Chelsea, and, you know, they stopped it and threw people out and banned them. But they don't say nothing about the chance. But discriminated against. It's it's racist, by the way. And people don't realise that when they're shouting all this and discriminating against us. Every time, every week we get discriminated. Teams chanting murderers and in your Liverpool slums and all this nonsense. It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. Now, here's what I said about the away fans at Anfield. I said, if Liverpool should write to a club, no matter what club it is, and say, if we find any of it more, these wild chants about, I mentioned the chants that they shout. I'm not talking about in your Liverpool slums or anything like that. What I'm talking about is being called murderers, because I'm not a murderer. I didn't go down to Hillsborough or over to Heysel to commit murder. I didn't do that. Anyway, just ban them. Just ban them. Ban everyone. Just ban them. Just any that ban. That's it. The next game that you want to play at Anfield, even in cup match or whatever, you're not coming. We're banning them, and we'll just give all the places to Liverpool fans who deserve it, because we can fill a ground. I bet you that's controversial to you, isn't it?
Well, to be honest with you, I think you're right. I think the club are starting. I think I noticed Merseyside police put out a statement before the derby, which I thought was unprecedented. Which they said, chanting murderers and always the victims is singing about football tragedies. And if our officers hear anyone, because the defence against that is other teams say, it's not about Hillsborough. And we all know it is.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. And so the police came out and said, we will take action against anyone who does. And the club have now started talking to City and United and other clubs in the Premier League. I know Spirit of Shankly have been heavily involved in that as well. To do just that, I think you're right. I think all discriminatory chanting and behaviour has got to be called out. And I would much rather fans did it themselves. I would much rather the older heads turn around to the younger heads and said, "What the hell are you doing? Shut up." But if they can't police themselves, then the clubs and the authorities have got to do something about it, because no one should be made to feel like crap going to a football game, should they?
No.
Whether it's because of your race, your sexual orientation, or the city you're born in. And you shouldn't have to listen to songs about tragedies. There will be people at Anfield who were at both Heysel and Hillsborough, and it's incredible. Yeah, incredibly upsetting. To listen to that crap, to be honest with you. And the thing is it's people. I mean, it disappoints me that you see older fans singing it and doing it who should know better. But what bothers me is seeing these young kids who don't know what they're doing, they don't know what they're singing about, and they've learned that from someone else, and that just says something really bad about us as a community. I think, Although I will say, I think I've seen some videos online since there were some idiots at the derby, but I didn't hear any of that at the derby on Monday night. But I think there were one or two idiots doing gestures and shouting stuff. But normally it's quite loud in the away end, and I didn't hear any of it on Monday night. So maybe that's a positive step.
Well, yeah, any sort of step to stop it.
Yeah.
Look, there's rivals. Every football team, every football club, every fan, whether you go to down to wherever, the Emirates, whether you're at Anfield, whether you're over there at Goodison, anything, you can now, you can call each other. It doesn't matter. You can call each other. But that's the red line there. That is the red line. It was funny, a few Evertonians, and it was about, I forget who it was, but it was Chelsea or someone, and they're singing in your Liverpool slums, and they were made up. I said, they're talking about you as well, you're a slum. You live in the slum according to them. No, he's on. I said, you do? I said, it's you. It's just not Liverpool. And they can't, it's just nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
I mean, the most bizarre thing is that half the fans singing about slums and unemployment and poverty have driven or got trains or coaches from cities exactly the same.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Leicester fans famously last season, and admittedly their supporters trust, came out and said something about it. But their entire end was singing about poverty and feed the Scousers. And they've got even worse social deprivation than Liverpool. And so it's so self-defeating.
Dude, I think the Wolves fans were singing "Shine On, Shine On," and they've got to be an unemployment sector.
I was going to say, Wolves. Okay.
It's incredible, isn't it? It's incredible.
It shows you how bright some people are. But they think it's banter. They think it's banter. And it's not banter because it's hateful. It's very hateful. You can't just chant these vile things against other people, and that's a shame.
But the worst thing is that while they're doing that, the people responsible for poverty are getting away scot-free.
Yes,
the architects of the misery that many working class communities are living in are laughing up their sleeves, while we're all mocking each other about who's poorer. Do you know what I mean? It's a race to the bottom, innit? And they're meanwhile they're stashing all the money offshore and laughing their heads off at us. That's the thing that gets me. And I love our response is usually F the Tories, isn't it? That's our response, because what we're saying is there's no good having a go at us. It's the Tories you should be having a go at. And I think that's brilliant. I think it's great that we do that.
Well, talking about Tories, this will enlighten you. This is like the discussion. I was on LFC TV and I came out and I was having a drink. Right. And funny enough, I was having a drink with Ian St. John because he was on with me, you see. We actually met John Hendry. Honestly, we actually met John Hendry and that Werner. And he asked who St. John was, because he was over. I said, and there's at least 5 people in there. Hendry, Werner, St. John at the bar, because when we walked in, I went over and seen him. And this other fellow who was further down. There's only us in there. Right, and we got beat by Tottenham at Anfield. Anyway, I said, I'm going over to him. So I went over to him. Said to St. John, I'm going over to him. So I went to him. I said, here. I said, we need some players. And he went, everything is in its hand. Don't worry, it's all in our hands. And I said, oh, well, all right then. And he had the worst handshake ever, John Hendry. Honestly. It was like picking up a kitten or something, trying to shake hands with that.
Oh.
So I went like that and I looked over, and this is true, but there's a couple of other things. And I went like, I said, you see that man standing there? And St. John was just standing at the bar like that. This is true. I said, he's a Liverpool legend. A Liverpool legend. I said, I went to a place called Marmaris, thought I was going to get to Ephesus to see this big Roman city. I said, and he was a little kid walking around with St. John on his back. A little kid, a little Turkish kid. And he said, oh, so St. John, when I was pointing over and pointing and saying he's a proper legend, this is true, this. St. John thought I was calling him over. And he came over like that. And I went, this is the legend. And he went like that, John Hendry. What's your name again? And that sickened me. That sickened me. But here is the other point anyway. He said, Werner called him, our steak's ready, John. So anyway, we walked. Did you like the American accent?
I love it. Yeah, I love the accent.
So we walked back. So there's a few other lads in then, from the match. This is genuine, this. And the fella who was standing up, at the other end of the bar. He got down and he was chauffeur driven, right? He was standing there and we were talking because St. John was there, you see. And they came over, all right, saying, all right, saying to me, all right, yeah, okay. And this fella was standing there as well, he's talking, and Tories came up. The Tories. Oh. And this fella went like that, honestly. The fella went, I'm a Tory. I'm a Conservative. Do you know what he said? Oh, you're all right. You support us. You're all right. You're a good Tory. And that's the irony, It's just nuts. It's absolutely nuts, It says it's absolutely nuts.
How brave was he saying that in front of a load of Liverpool supporters, though?
And we never got that danger. But just going on, Paul Burke, he said, the best save for me was Clements in the UEFA Cup final against Bruges. One of the best goals for me was Barnsley's against Queen's Park Rangers, a sweeping move from our box too, right? And also, he says, Frank, you do not think football's a mirror of the present day life from players to crowds is so hateful. Like you said, Frank, was at both myself, that was ISIL and Hillsborough. And so what do you think of that? So listen, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to ask you for a prediction, boys.
You go first, Brian.
Okay.
I'm terrified to make a prediction. I'm like,
all right. I'll go 3-2 us.
Oh, well, that's good.
Do you think we'll concede? We kept a few clean sheets recently, haven't we?
Yeah.
Or am I imagining that? We probably have.
No. No. Tony, don't forget the Wolves game. Just forget that game. That's it.
Apart from the 3 we conceded against Wolves.
Besides,
I think okay. I think if Van Dijk's back, I think we could keep a clean sheet. So I would say 1-0.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Now I go along with you exactly, Jeff, because last week I was saying to Francine, I said, these have had 2 days off. They've had a good rollicking. And I think they've got to put out their chests and have a go at Everton. They've got to. And I think we'll keep a clean sheet. And she's actually said this on the show, and that, she said, my dad predicted. And I said, we'll win, we'll beat these 2-0. And that's what I said. Right? That was my prediction. And it's only what you said, Jeff, about Van Dijk. Van Dijk, no matter what you think, he's a colossus in our defence. And he organises our defence. And as I mentioned at the beginning, when we mentioned Newcastle, I said they're no great shakes. And I think they're in a false fourth. I really do. I believe that they're in a false fourth. And it's just like what I said about Arsenal. I said Arsenal won't win the league. I said they'll falter along the way. The bottles will go. Anyway, I think I'm going to be vindicated on that. And I go along with the same prediction that I gave against Everton, and we'll beat them 2-0. I don't think that they will score because we're up for it now. I think we are up for it.
Well, we're all going for a win.
Yeah,
we wouldn't have said that a few weeks ago, would we?
No.
It shows you the difference one game makes, doesn't it?
Well, this is it. Do you ever remember? I was sitting here with my mate watching the game, and it was at West Brom when Alisson went up for the corner. I didn't think I could jump up. And I didn't think my mate could jump up either. Tossing around. It was incredible. And do you know what? We were looking like that. He might be a VAR, you know, he might have pushed someone, you know, Alisson. That was unbelievable, that was unbelievable.
Perfect headed goal, wasn't it?
Yes.
There you go. So the thing is, what I'm trying to say is, when you get players like that, when you get games like that, and you get the big chest out, and we've done it before. As I said, we did it a couple of seasons ago when we had to, you know, we thought. I was saying at the time, I'm being honest, at the time 2 years ago, I said, I don't want to be in this Conference League or this Europa League. I'd rather finish 11th or whatever. Little did I know that we was going to go on a run and finish third. And I think this could be a mirror image of that season. This season.
Okay.
It could be. Easily.
Wouldn't that be remarkable, though? I think that would be even more remarkable than 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Given the form that we've had, I mean, in some ways there's parallels with the injuries and things, but I think if Liverpool were to get in the top four this time, that would be even more remarkable.
Okay, yes.
It'd be like winning the league, wouldn't it, really? Let's be honest.
It would feel like a great season. Because... And who knows in the Champions League, you know, this team, Madrid is a big hurdle to get over, but this team's not, you know, you look at that team Benitez took to 2 Champions League finals. This team, even now, with the injuries and the aging players we've got, this team is far better than those 2 teams.
You think?
It's not beyond the realms of possibility that Liverpool run in the Champions League again. And I mean, imagine that if they had, you know, if they got to this, even if they got to a semi-final of the Champions League and finished in the top 4, suddenly things start to look very different, don't they?
Yeah, of course. And if you think about what Aguero said, he said, I know that Liverpool are not playing so good at the moment, but Anfield is Anfield playing Real Madrid, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Anfield is Anfield. Because he played against us when we beat them 3-0. 3-0, don't forget, then 2-1 up there. Little Aguero was playing, you know, so he knows what Anfield's like. I'll never forget what that Walker lad said. It's a Champions League game when we played them, beat them 3-0. He said after the game, he said, I've never heard a noise like it. I've never heard a noise like that in my life. And he said that after the game because it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal, that game. You know, the 3, it was incredible. When Oxlade-Chamberlain scored, was it the second he scored?
Yeah.
Second, yeah.
You know,
30 yards out, wasn't it?
Yeah. And he just hit it, didn't he? He just caught it right. Bang, goal. And, you know, so that was the second. And the volumes just started to go up and up and up. I've seen some great... I'll ask you, Jeff, you know, obviously, what's the best... And I'll tell you mine, by the way.
I think I know what you're going to say, but I won't say it. For me, the Chelsea semi-final in 2005 was incredible.
Yeah.
But for me, the Barcelona game, 4-0.
Yes.
When we came back from 3 down. I unfortunately missed the big one in the 70s.
Yeah.
I've seen footage of that. I've seen footage of that, and that must have been unreal.
Can I see him?
Yeah, I missed that one. I thought that's what you were going to say was your.
I was, but that's the game, because David, it's strange, and I've tried to explain to people. You think this, and when you watch it again, just try and think this. Kennedy has the ball. We were 2-1 up, right? 2-1 up. We were going out, right? So 2-1 up. And Kennedy has the ball, and he just lobs it forward. You don't hear anything. Believe me, you don't hear anything, because we all went, because Fairclough was on it. He was on it so quick. and I was like, we all took a breath. I was in the cup. And then when he hit it, it's as though the roof lifted. It was an incredible noise. It was an incredible noise. And I was at the same game, the Chelsea game in 2005, the semi. Same. Unbelievable. I was at the, when you, I tell you when else I was at a game, when it was unbelievable, the noise, and it just never gets mentioned, this game. And it was when Ryan Babel scored the fourth against Arsenal in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. 6 minutes to go. Ati Bayor scores. There we were out. Yep, we were out. And then the penalty, and it was right after that kickoff. Right after the kickoff, we got that penalty because I don't think the cameras showed that. Anyway, he was down, and I'm talking about Ryan Babel. And Ryan Babel was underrated as well, so he went into the air. Colo Torre took him down, penalty. And then we were all like this, and we were like this because we were going through. And what had happened, because we went 3-2 up, and what had happened, they got it, and I always say this, lads, I don't know whether you'll agree. Fabregas, they got a penalty, they got a free kick, and Fabregas got the ball, and he walked 10 yards down, if you know what I mean, from where it should have been taken, and he walked 10 yards down. And we were all shouting, get back. We're shouting at the referee to pull him back on the line with whoever. And he put it down, about 10 yards, right? And he took it. And then Couch just hit it. Babel ran onto it. Fabregas tried to get it. And you know what I said? I said to this fella, I don't know who was sitting next to me, coming out, trying to get out. Like I said, do you know Fabregas would have taken that free kick where he should have taken it? He was a court Babel. And that's how things work out, isn't it? That's how things work. Just like against Everton. The Ezra, from the corner. And it came out and, the 1-2 with Salah and the other fella, Nunes. And a goal.
Tell you what, Frank, the other one that never gets mentioned is Lovren's goal against Dortmund. When he scored that, honestly,
that was a match.
The roof came off. It was enormous. The sound was enormous. It's almost like it you can feel it inside you. Do you know what I mean? It's like your insides are churning because it's that loud. But the Barcelona game, honestly, I will go to my grave absolutely proud that I was at that match because no one gave us a prayer. And even going into the game, I thought it would just win the game 1-0 or 2-0 and restore a bit of pride. But it was like a fairy tale. It was like a fairy tale.
It totally was.
I don't think that you could put it any better. A fairy tale, and it was a miracle. It really was a miracle to think that you're 3-0 down, you're playing one of the best football teams, club sides in the world. You've got the likes of Lionel Messi in that team.
And no Salah for us.
No Salah and no Bobby. Bobby.
Yeah.
And we had Origi and Shaqiri, playing in their places.
Yeah.
Hey, don't diss the power cube. He was a phenomenal player for us. He was a legend.
It was incredible.
Love Shaqiri.
But do you think it was a better comeback than 2005?
No, it's not. And the reason it's not is because that was in one game. And, that was in 2005, we were 3-0 down at half time. Most teams would have just curled up and died, tried to keep the score down. And within 6 minutes, Liverpool are level. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, that will always, and it's in a final. So, it's a final, so the stakes are much higher. Liverpool were not, the quality of Liverpool's team versus the quality of Milan's team was just not comparable. And yet they came back and won the game. I think that's the greatest comeback in Liverpool's history. Still.
Okay, I totally agree with you. The thing is, well, it's only what you mentioned before, Jeff, when anything can happen in football. Because there's us against Real next week.
Yeah.
At home. So why can't it happen? Why can't it be another Barcelona? Why can't it be another AC?
Absolutely.
Because we will be underdogs no matter what because of our injuries and everything else. But if we can get through this round, I'm not talking about the game, this round, if we can get through that, we've got everyone back. Think about that.
I know. I would say if Liverpool beat Newcastle and then beat Real Madrid, the season just completely turns around.
It does. And just imagine the confidence that we could generate through this. It's a phenomenal thing. I'm going to ask you, Jeff, will you come on again, Jeff?
Anytime, Frank. Always a pleasure.
Really?
Anytime.
Really? Because you do me a favour, right? I'm going to show something here, by the way.
Oh, hang on. Where's this going?
No. I'm just going to mention Michael Dean. And Michael Dean, I'm sorry, this just goes to here, And I always wear the stuff. I always wear Michael's stuff.
That scarf and a badge.
Yeah, that scarf and badge. And if you ever want any, I'm talking to our Liverpool fans. He doesn't know that I do this, He doesn't know that I do it. I support small businesses. And Michael Dean and his lovely wife, Michelle, are fantastic proprietors of that scarf or badge. All reasonable stuff, all quality stuff as well. And it's always open on match days. So if you're going to match on Tuesday at Anfield, make sure you can get him online at Scarf or Badge. Get him online. And he's absolutely just brilliant. And, so if you're ever going to buy any merchandise, get that stuff from at Scarf or Badge. As I said, all quality stuff, everything.
Yes.
So, people, and I've just got to wrap up the show. I hope you have all enjoyed it. I've got to thank my wonderful guests. I've got to thank the author of all these Liverpool things, all these good Liverpool things, and that's Jeff Goulden, who'll be joining us again, no doubt, as he said. And my other great guest, a great friend of mine, is Brian Fennell, all the way over there in Seattle. And he just go to match as well, Jeff. He just come over and goes to match.
That's phenomenal.
I was just going to say before you wrap it up, though, a couple of things, a couple of bullets. Did see Terry McDermott when I was a kid. 77 FA Cup. I still hate Jimmy Greenoff. That's why. Anyway, second thing, you were talking about raising the roof and noise. Early this year, I did sneak over and saw Newcastle and Liverpool, the 2-1 match when Salah scored in the 98th minute. So
no, that was Carvalho who scored. Carvalho.
Yeah. Sorry, Carvalho. Sorry, Carvalho scored. Wow.
Good job. It wasn't Betic.
That was a phenomenal match, and that was also the noise raised in that one too. So, but I also comebacks. Nothing touches Istanbul, but I gotta tell you that 3-3 thrill against United, where you're talking about Razor Ruddock scored the equalizer late in the game.
Oh yeah, the Man United game Wednesday night.
Yeah.
I was teaching, right, and I'm supposed to go in. I said, anyway, I phones up, right? I said, listen, I don't think I'll be able to make it. I'm really bad. Right, goes the game. And who's bumped right into it was the principal who phones up and said, incredible. And it was a woman, by the way. She was a big red, and she just looked at me and went, don't do that again, will you, Frank? I went, no. I feel all right now.
Gotta go. My steak is ready. Bye. Yeah, right.
Well, anyway, I've got to have to show up, and I hope to see you tomorrow night, Brian. If not, I'll see you next week. I'll be seeing Jeff certainly again anytime he wants to come on. Just come on, Jeff. I've got. I'll tell you who I've got on next week besides Brian. I've got Steve Metcalf. Is it next Thursday? I've got him on. I'm not quite so sure. But anyway, Steve Metcalf has come on. He couldn't come on because of his eye. And I've certainly got Frank Lawton. I'll certainly have Brian on as well. And it's just for me to thank everybody out there. Don't forget to just press and like. That's all you've got to do to get the algorithm out there so that it can go out further, this particular show. Don't forget it's a Scout show. It's a Liverpool show. And we do read your comments out as well. So just from me, Brian and Jeff, it's a great good night to you all. Ciao. Up the Reds. Up the Reds. Thanks, lads.
Up the Reds. Cheers. Great stuff, Jeff.
Frank.
Great stuff, Frank. Thank you so much.
Great to see you again, Brian.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Great. Yeah, great dialogue. Love this. So thank you.
Thank you so much, boys.
All right, see you soon, Frank.
Bye-bye now.
All right, Frank.
Bye.